start dreaming the impossible. So you might have the impossible dream right on above your horizon, but it starts with a realistic one right before you. Before we went to Vietnam, we did the steps that are before us as we make the shift. It's the same thing. Now, what do you do if God says no? She says, I don't want you, you're ugly, I don't want you. No, you're not the one, I'm sorry, we're not hiring right now. Or, didn't get in the school you wanted. Your score wasn't high enough. What do you do? Fourth step, rest in God's providence. Okay, so the first one, set realistic, attainable goals by knowing God and knowing what God has gifted you and what He's wired you to do. That's very important. First step. So based on what you know about God and what you know that God gifted you, you set realistic, attainable goals right in front of you. Okay? Don't dream to be a basketball player like Michael Jordan if you're only 5 something. Okay? I mean, let's face it. There is no wisdom in that. Okay? 2, put your hope in God that God will bless you with that desire, that goal. So if you want to pursue your law degree, if you want to pursue ministry, if you want to pursue whatever that next step is, you go to God and you keep praying. 3, dream beyond that goal. So I'm saying, God, this is impossible, but for your glory, make it happen. Right? Make it happen. And then 4th, rest in God's providence in Christ no matter what. Okay? No matter what. Meaning, for example, if God says no, then you go on to the 5th steps and you like in the Bible where somebody wrestle with God. You wrestle with God and evaluate and examine your heart whether the goals were appropriate or you need to revise your goals. Okay? Meaning, it's okay, Kevin, to accept that she says no. Okay? Because I did. She said no to me. Okay? I had jobs that are, when you get you don't get the call, but you get that thin letter. It's called a rejection letter, right? I don't know, you guys get that? Or you go interview for a job. Normally, what happened at an interview for a job? When they don't want you, right, what do? Oh, we'll call you. We'll call you. And they never call you. Okay? So the 5th thing is you come back and you wrestle with God. You rest in God's providence, and then you go to God and you wrestle with God. And you say, God, I'm so handsome, and she says, no, that's awful, don't you think? But I'm sure she'll have another girl for me. That's unfair. How can they not hire me? I'm well qualified for this job. But you know what? God bless me with another job. Maybe it's a better job. That is totally surrendering. You rest in the decision. And then you get wisdom to decide, okay, now how do I get the mailing list out to all the other girls so that I know that I'm available? No, just kidding. But here's the point. You then set new goals for yourself. Set your new goals for yourself. You wrestle with God and you know that it's not, the answer is no, then you move on to the next thing. The biggest problem with a lot of us, honestly, is that you kind of stuck there. You get hurt, you get kind of stuck there. You don't realize that God is passing you on a so-so good deal to a much better deal that God's already planned for your life. But now you just kind of fighting God, angry at God. I mean, if I remember now, if I truly, and my wife knows this girl, okay, if I had that girl that when I approach her, I would have been like so unhappy right now, okay? I mean, I would be so unhappy, okay? Because later on I know that she married somebody and, when I think about it, I say, oh, thank God she didn't say yes. Seriously, this is the real. The same thing with the job. You know, I was offered with working with an oil company. The first job was because I was an engineer. They hired me to inspect these tankers, these, what do you call these huge oil or gasoline tanks.
Really?
Yeah, like the big one. I have to climb them, but it's filled with oil because I was in the safety, fire protection safety engineer. I designed these halon systems and so on. That's what I was doing. And because that job wasn't in the town near the Bible school, so I had to say no to that because it was in Ohio somewhere. I didn't want to do that. Actually, it was Mobil Oil, not BP, okay? But Mobil Oil. Okay? It's just the same, it's oil company, okay? So I passed that up. But here's the issue. When you make a decision, and sometimes the results doesn't come out, you rest in God's providence because you know God has a plan for you. And then you wrestle with God. It's okay to talk to God and raise your disappointment, you know, but then know that God's going to bless you. Now maybe it's also worth it to go to godly counsel. Talk to other people. Talk to me, talk to your parents, talk to your pastor here and say, hey, am I pretty enough to be the television star that I should be? Kind of like, and you know, maybe the pastor, when the pastor says, well, you are very beautiful, but you have a voice for radio. Okay? Then the wisdom says is, hey, maybe that's not what God is in store for me. And that's when you shift your goals. Okay? There's nothing wrong with making that shift, but you make that shift as it comes along. And so what am I saying? It has to be grounded in the Bible, because if it's Christ-centered, then it cannot be outside of God's will. Okay? So you need to have wisdom in that. But the steps is very simple. First, you set very realistic, attainable goals based in knowing God and knowing yourself. Then you basically trust and hope, put your hope in God that God's going to answer that. And then 3, you dream way beyond that. You're saying not just that, but God would be great if you could do this. Okay? And then no matter what happens, you rest in God's providence as He answers your prayer. Okay? And then lastly, if it doesn't turn out even that, you wrestle with God so that you come with a new goal and pursuit. That's the process. In a provocative new book, Desiring Kingdom, James Smith argues that the worldviews are fashioned according to what we desire, not according to what we know. Meaning, hear me out. Who you are and what you are is not dependent on what you know, but what you desire. Okay? And this is well documented. Therefore, focusing on your heart is more important than your mind. Okay? That's what's going on with a lot of people right now. You're thinking and you're willing yourself, but it's the desire in your heart that what makes it happen. So he would say, what we do determines what we love. What we do determines what we love, which defines your worldview. So what if we spend the bulk of our time doing things with your brains, your mouth, your body, that fixated to the world, but you don't do anything that is physical? Okay? It's basically, he's saying, and you can judge for yourself, you are not what you think, but what your desire in your heart is. And from here, from your thinking cap, your mind, to your heart, is an 18-inch gap, and between that is your hands. When you start living out or doing what you desire in your heart, it will change you. Think about it. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. And you face the person next to you. Okay? Because let's say as you're just looking at me and you're saying, okay, I'm just going to work with your brain. But now, not only working with your brain, you hold your hands up and you high-five the other person. Okay? Okay. Now what does that do? It's the hands that make the movements, that gap between your head and your heart. Because now you kind of break off the sleepiness. Okay, have a sit. Sit down. Okay?
This is very important. I have to confess to you